Could you use a quick tip daily? How about a tip that can impact your day? My name is Rafael. Join me as I bring you tips by experts around the world. These experts have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me and will directly share them with you. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and comment, and I would love for you to become part of the New Tip Daily community. Good morning, good morning. Guess what? I have an incredible human being who's going to be joining me, and today we're getting unstuck. And right now he's stuck in we're going to call it the camera not working correctly, but he should be here shortly. So Dan Storey is a bodybuilder, as a natural bodybuilder, and we were discussing earlier about his training methods and what he does and how he's getting clients to help them and achieve their fitness goals. So I know that Dan is working hard to be able to fix his camera, join us live. So the question that I may ask you while he jumps on with us is, have you ever been stuck? What have you done? What have you accomplished? What have you seen that we need to be able to do on a regular basis to come on? Let's go ahead and try to bring Dan on.
I think I'm here. I'm back. I'm unstuck technologically and psychologically. Hopefully.
Yeah. Your camera's not working. I don't know about that.
Oh, I can see me.
I can't see you.
We'll give it a minute.
Let's give it a sec. If you need to jump off, jump back on. Technology is one of the most beautiful things. It can help you get unstuck, but sometimes it gets you stuck as well.
Yeah, let me hit stop start, see if that makes any difference. Hey, anything yet?
Nothing, my friend.
Oh, man. All right, let me refresh and I'll come back.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. I'll be here. I'll be waiting for you. Sometimes these things happen, right? If you are ever watching a show and these things happen, boom, look at my camera is going crazy on me as well. Guess who's back? Dan is here with us. Hey, Dan.
Am I in 3D?
Welcome.
Can you hear and see me?
I can. Welcome to New Tip Daily. I'm so excited to have you. And I know the topic today that you want to share with us is getting unstuck.
Yep.
Stage is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I think we get stuck. I think, a lot of the conversations I have right now is we wake up one day and we're just not satisfied. We kind of we think we've done everything right, and we wake up and we literally get to this point where we're like, is this all there is? I thought life was going to be a bit more interesting. It's not terrible. Like, it's not that things are horrible, but I thought there was a little bit more to life than this. And turns out that our psychology plays a lot of part in this. Is that the way we make decisions, and this is kind of where my studies have been and research has been, is the way we make decisions is largely governed by things that are programmed into us when we're younger, or even genetically kind of given to us. And so even though we kind of go through life thinking we're making decisions, actually the decisions are being made for us. And we don't always make the best decisions. And then, if you add those decisions up, we get to this point where we've made thousands of decisions and we're like, where are we? Do I want to be here? And that's what stuck is. And the question is, do we want to stay there? Is it bad enough that we kind of want to make a change, or is it just okay enough that we can kind of muddle through?
When we, I love how you brought it back to our childhood, because a lot of those issues that we have with getting stuck, pardon my camera likes to do that every so often. It's because of things that we've been told. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're not good enough. How do we get away from that narrative that we've been told all of our lives?
I think the first thing is recognize it. So there's actually, from what I'm kind of working through, there's about 7 different psychological structures that cause us to get stuck. The biggest and most important one is status quo. is this idea that we just do the same things every day because we did it yesterday. We'll probably do it tomorrow. And rarely do we get enough time, energy, headspace or anything to actually question why we do it. So why do I have the coffee the way I have it? Is it my choice to have coffee like that? Or is it just because somebody else had coffee that way? And obviously we're not talking about coffee here. But, you know, we go to jobs that we have, but is it the job that we want or the job that we dream of? You know, like I said, you know, somewhere around 30 to 50 is this conversation happens in our head is, am I doing what I want to be doing? You know, I call it generativity versus stagnation. Am I gonna go and contribute a little bit more, or am I just going to stay in the same place? And one of the big conversations is around career. It's also around relationships. You get to a point in a relationship where, you know, do I feel fulfilled? Do I feel happy? And we stay because that's what we do. It's status quo. We won't rock the boat. We won't change anything. You know, I remember my grandparents saying all these things as best of the devil you know. So we have all of these elements. It's like, don't change. Everything is programmed to maintain the status quo. And yet science and research is being done to help us break the status quo. Now, the problem is all that research is being done by marketers and economists to try and sell us stuff. That's right. You know, if you look up all the research, it's all being done by those guys. So there's this massive emphasis of keeping everything safe. We don't like change. You know, change is scary, dangerous. We don't know what's on the other side. So we tend to maintain status quo as opposed to changing. So that's the first thing, is recognize status quo. And just, even if we just ask ourselves the question, why do I do things this way? Why do I wake up at this time of day? Why do I wear the clothes that I wear? Why do I eat the food that I do? Is it a conscious decision or is it just a default decision? If we can just have that thought in our mind, then that's the big one. The second thing, and this is what I think we're all good at, is everyone knows what to change. Like getting stuck isn't a weird thing. You know, I was looking at the research, 75% of people feel stuck in various places of their lives. 90% of people feel stuck in work and things like that. Only like a quarter of people are actually happy at work. So I mean, 75% of people are going to work, but they don't like it. It's like, come on, so people around the world are feeling this. I'd say most people know the area of their life they want to change. Is it health? Is it finances? Is it career? Is it relationship? Is it life adventure? What is it? We all know the area, but do you know what we're really good at? Is pushing it away. We're pushing it away. We feel that tension inside us, like, oh, I should do something. I should do something about this. And then we're like, I'll do it tomorrow. and this is a principle. It's a hilarious principle, but you know, you live in New York City, so we can talk about this. It's called the region beta principle. Now, let me ask you a question. If you had to go 10 blocks in New York, how would you get there? And I know it's cold outside, but how would you get 10 blocks?
Well, in the old days, I loved to walk, so I would walk, right?
That's the correct answer, right? You've got to walk in New York.
but so many people, they're like, I got to take a taxi. Meanwhile, it would take you double the time than walking in New York City.
Efficiency, you got to wait, you got hail taxi, it's going to cost more. It's inefficient to go 10 blocks in taxi. So you walk. Mm-hmm. Or if you're going, what if you're going 60 blocks? How would you go 60 blocks?
Well, there you go. You may have to take the train. Because there is train, there is buses, right? There is cabs, there's Ubers now, right? So you have choices.
Yeah. So at some point in that continuum between 10 and 60, or whatever those numbers are, randomly we choose, there is a point at which you say, okay, I'm not going to walk, I'm going to do something else. And we're going to cross over that because it becomes inefficient. Now, if it's a nice day or we've got, you know, good company or we're listening to an audiobook or something, maybe we'll walk a little bit further. But if we're not talking about walking, if we talk about job satisfaction, there's a point, you know, where you say this job is bad. And at some point, it's bad enough that we change. And the question is, at what point on that continuum do we change? At what point do we say it's enough? As opposed to, oh, I'll just keep going. And this is a purely psychological point. Like you said, okay, I'm going to change it 19 blocks. If it's 19 blocks or more, then I'll take a taxi or then I'll jump on the bus. Yeah, and we make that point. But with a career, say, okay, well, it's bad. I really hate my job. I don't like it. We're able to push that away. We say, oh, you know, but it's not as bad as Dave. Dave's got a terrible job. Dave doesn't have a job at all. You know, or if I just keep it going, maybe it's going to get better. Or if I just do this, and we rationalize. And so we move that barrier. And we never really get to a point where we say, okay, it's bad enough. And I'm going to make that change. And if this is just a purely arbitrary psychological point that we're able to define, the question is, why don't we pull it closer? Why don't we say, actually, you know what, today is enough and I am going to do something? And it's this idea of region beta paradox, is this paradox of it's inefficient to do what we're doing. And yet we do it because it's safer. It's the safer choice, and we don't like this change idea. But yeah, it happens in jobs, relationship, financial status, addictions, all of those things.
It is very interesting when you even talked earlier about staying in a relationship because it's status quo, it's what I know. Um, or people who say, look at that person. I want to be with them. And yet they think it's better than where they are now. Right?
Yeah.
So there's all these different things that we have to look at. Every idea of being unstuck or being stuck, there's a benefit to each one.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the analogy of either walking because it's a short distance, it's a beautiful sunny day, but if it's like it was this morning when I left my house, it was probably 15 degrees, and would I want to walk 10 blocks?
Yeah.
And New York City, when depends on the block, could be a wind tunnel.
Exactly.
And it's really devastating if you have to walk 10 blocks.
I know, but
Not that you can't do it.
But think about this in the real world. You're saying this now. If you went out and you braved that wind tunnel, and I know what you mean. It's like the wind's blowing in your face. You feel like you're leaning into it, and you get to your destination. Like, oh my goodness, that was cold, right? But if you did that every day for 3 years, like at what point do people say, "Come on, like why don't you just do something different?" Or how do you get here a different way? Or why do you not come? Or it becomes obvious. But because it's like incremental, we do these tiny little things all the time. We just kind of get used to it, and then we complain about, oh, the wind was so terrible today. And people love a sob story, right? They love to like kind of say, oh, yes, it was really bad for me too. We kind of get behind stories like that because it kind of makes us feel a little bit better. But the question would be, it's like, well, okay, but if it's that terrible, then why don't you do something different? And so people just can't think differently as we get programmed so quickly in our psychology that we just carry on doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's incredible when we get stuck, if you will.
Yeah. The other thing that happens with this is, let's say we've been doing that same thing for a while, is we forget what else we can do. We actually get, one of the big things with change is being confident enough to change. There's a lot of people, they'll lose their confidence. If they've been stuck, they tend to question their value and their self-worth, and they'll actually give up control. It's called locus of control. And there's a principle, to see if we can play with this one. It's called the trolley problem. If anybody's watching Beast Games at the moment, it was on the Beast Games last night. So it's a really interesting idea that, let's say you're standing by a train track and the train is a runaway train. It's going to go straight. There's 5 people. I don't know why they're lying on the track, but they're lying on the track. If you don't move the train off this track, they're going to get squished. There's a side road and there's a little handle in front of you. If you pull that handle, the train will change and it'll go down the side track where there's only one person. Okay. The question is, do you pull the handle? Now, if you're into kind of utilitarian, total benefit of the world, then you say, yeah, 5 is better than 1. So we'll save the 5. We'll take it to the 1, and that's good. That's the kind of economist's view of the world. But what that doesn't account for is you have now made that decision. You have taken responsibility for that person's life. You are to blame for that individual. 5 may or may not want to be there. You don't know their story. You don't know that person's story. Like, who do you value more? And what a lot of people do is when they get stuck is they give up control. They say, this isn't my choice. Like, I make choices. Whatever choice I make, I get punished. I get into trouble. It hasn't worked out. So why don't I make no choices? Why don't I just sit here and allow the train to do what it's going to do? And we become super passive. And one of the things that we can do is called locus of control, is start to bring back locus of control, come from an external, like everything out there is happening, to internal and say, how can I be in control a little bit more? And locus of control, we don't have to change everything all at the same time. We don't have to take responsibility for everything at the same time. But we want to start taking control of elements of our life. And this is why fitness, and this is why the gym and New Year's resolutions, all those kind of things that are happening right now, is such an easy area, because I can take control of my fitness. I don't have to worry about anybody else. It's just me, the gym, and the kitchen. Like that holy trinity. That's all I need to control. The gym doesn't change. The kitchen is predictable. I'm the main factor. Now, that's that. If we go to relationships, that's another matter, because now we've got dynamics and other people that don't play the games that we want to play. And so one area that people can really take control of, and I think is healthy, is to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this for me. I'm going to take control of my fitness. And actually self-care and taking care of ourselves is a really good way of bringing back that self-confidence that we can then move into other areas of our life as well.
I love how you tied the gym with the kitchen and the self, because it is those three things that make us healthier, right? It is those key ingredients that we think only one of them is the one that's going to be viable for our lives, for our health.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, if I only go to the gym, I'll be healthy, right? If I don't eat this burger, but meanwhile, I'm going to have this Diet Coke because it says diet on it. So it's every little thing that we have to look at a deeper level in order to get unstuck. Is that correct?
Yeah. And the mind and body are super connected. We all know that. We've all heard of mind and body connection. But if my body is erratic, and when I say erratic, let's say it's full of sugar, it's full of caffeine, I never feel calm. I've got not enough energy. Sometimes I've got too much energy. Other times I can't sleep, so I'm not rested. All of those things. How's that going to play with my head, my confidence and my ambition and all of those things that I want to maintain in my head? It's not possible, right? So we need to ground the body. That's what exercise is for. So let's get rid of all that rubbish. Let's fuel it with some healthy stuff. Like I do like a Diet Coke. I'm not going to lie. But I don't drink 10 gallons of it a day. I had 1 can last night. It's the first time I needed. So from an energy perspective, I want my energy to be consistent and calm throughout the day. So not too much sugar, or like take it around training when I know I'm going to burn it off quickly. And try and balance things. Don't overeat. Like this is one of the things that a lot of people do, is they just overeat and then they feel sluggish, or undereat and then they feel tired. So the body is really important to support the brain. But then if we don't do anything with the brain, if we don't think differently, if we don't challenge our thoughts, or we don't do the work to kind of investigate how we think about things, our limiting beliefs, our past traumas and experiences that we haven't really learned from, if we go through that, like you say, I'll go to the next relationship, I'll go to the next job, and hey, guess what? Exactly the same thing happens. It's like, oh, I thought this one was going to be different because the place is different. Yeah, but you're the same. So
yeah.
we have to go through that work. And so by kind of getting the body into a healthy place, by getting the head into a healthy place, we can say, okay, well, now if I look forward, what is the decision I want to make? What is the best decision for me? I know that this is the tendency. This is the easy road. This is the way I've normally done things, and that hasn't worked. So the question is, how do I do something different? And the thing is, it always feels weird. It always feels weird. And it's that element of being uncomfortable that we have to deal with. And this is where discipline comes in. Now, I know you've got a martial arts background, so the discipline aspect it's not motivation, it's discipline. It's showing up, it's doing the work. I had a conversation with a girl the other day. She's competing for a big weightlifting competition in about 6 weeks, and she was like in one of those headspaces where, oh, it's not working and I feel bad. And it's like, okay, well, it doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel good, but you're doing the work. Like, appreciate that, recognize it's all part of the journey. And I use this idea of rule of thirds, is that a third of the time, things are going to feel good. The workout's going to feel good. The writing session is going to be good. The sales calls are going to go well. The business meetings are going to go great. All of those things. A third of the time, they're going to be okay. And a third of the time, they're going to be terrible, but you did them and you showed up. You made those calls or sales calls and nobody picked up the phone. Or you left voicemails or nobody replied. But it's all planting seeds and staying true to your habits. And if you can consistently show up those habits, that's when things work.
That's it. That's the real way of getting unstuck one step at a time, right?
For sure.
The consistency.
Yeah. And knowing it feels weird and feels uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Know why you're doing it. Know why you're doing it. Know where you're aiming for. Keep that clear in your head. And believe that you can make it, because you can. And then just do the things you need to do to show up.
Dan, as a professional bodybuilder, and you talked earlier about discipline and the fact that I've been disciplined basically my whole life. When we consider someone else looking at you and saying, I can't do what you're doing, I can't because I still need my sugar fix, so I need this. I need to be able to do this. So they're not willing to give something up in order
Yeah.
to achieve something greater.
Mm.
What's the advice there?
Sacrifice is, and I say this all the time, sacrifice is not about goats and virgins. Right? We're not throwing people into volcanoes, but it does feel like that. Sacrifice is like chess. And I don't play chess, but I know if I give up a pawn to get a better place on the board, then it's a strategic advantage. And sacrifice is not about saying no to things. I say no to a lot of stuff, but in reality, I'm not saying no. What I'm doing with sacrifice is allowing myself to say a bigger yes to things that are really important to me. And so when I say no to cake or ice cream, it's not a no, by the way, it's just a not right now. I'll push it down the line. I'm definitely going to enjoy some of that. But what I'm saying no to is actually saying yes to my ambition, my hopes, my challenge, my, all the things that I want to do. And if you want to do something enough, you're going to have to say no in certain areas. But it's, like I said, it's not about saying no, it's about saying a bigger yes. And, here's a bodybuilding joke for you. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So we do have to shrink our world a little bit. We can't experience absolutely everything, but we've got to figure out what is important to us in life and double down.
Love it. Love it. Dan, what great insights. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad we got the camera working for you.
Me too.
Do me a favor. I'll give you 30 seconds. Give us a little bit about why somebody should come to your website and what can they expect when they do.
Perfect. Yeah. So come to danstorey.com. I try and challenge you to question your status quo. Status quo is the biggest restraining factor on why we do things. And it's largely, like I said, around psychology, and we think differently. There are three things you want to keep in your mind all the time. Number one is purpose. Why do we do the things we do? And which direction are we focusing on? Number two is energy. How do I have an energetic level that allows me to live life to the fullest? And then three, productivity is how do I show up and do the things that are most important on a daily basis? And so for that, I have my pep talk, PEP, purpose, energy, productivity newsletter. So I share ideas on a weekly basis. And then the other thing is go and check out Amazon. There's an amazing book called Personal Transformation Blueprint. I have to say that. I've got a copy here.
Show us the book. Show us the book.
There you go. So it's the idea. Look at this goldfish. It's like we've been playing in that small pond. It's time to level up. It's time to challenge ourselves to do more, experience more, and really see what limits we've got on our lives, because I don't think we're anywhere close to our limits yet.
I love it. Love it. Everybody, do me a favor. Go meet my friend Dan. He is incredible. Such great insights. I love it. Thank you so much for coming in and giving us these great tips that we should not be stuck. We can get unstuck if we follow your tips. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, share the show. Tell everybody about it. What great tips we had today. Thank you, Dan. What a pleasure. Have yourself an exceptional rest of your day. All right, everybody. Take care.